Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and today we're going to have a look at these D&D Nolzurs Marvellous Miniatures Human Rogues, the females. So as usual, they come in one of these clamshell boxes with the picture on the back showing you what they might possibly look like. Now, I think these are computer 3D renders, so you know, this isn't exactly what you're going to get, but you got an idea. So this box cost me £5, that's £2.50 each model, which is a really good price. So on value, these are really good. Let's crack them open, I suppose. Have a look what we get inside the box. So first of all, we get two of these wafer thin stands, which come with all of these range of miniatures. And here's the first miniature. This one I would say is like the apprentice because she's much less armoured and smaller. Well, to begin with, I'm not that keen on the pose. The sculpt of this shape is really weird. And as you can see here, her knife is broken. And I think this must have happened probably when it was coming out of like the mold thing, and the blade must have snapped, but it's not a big deal. As for mold lines, there aren't that many mold lines. There's tiny little thin ones, but nothing really to worry about. The detail is very smooth, and that's my worry here, is how little detail is on there. There's no hard and fast ridges on the face or on the body, so I'm wondering what actually my washes will attach, pool in, and what dry brushing or highlighting is going to help really much, because there isn't much to highlight, but we'll see when we get around to actually painting. I think especially on her lower face, I can't see any features, which is a bit of a problem. She's got no mouth. She's got a small indenture in her eyes, and her nose does stick out slightly. But as for her mouth, it's just not there as far as I can see, and that's going to be a bit of a problem, because when you use washes and such, you need that indenture for the paint to pool. Okay, onto the more, should we say, the master rogue. She's a nicer looking sculpt, much nicer. Her face is still very shallow, not much detail on it. It's maybe slightly better than the previous one, but the general sculpt is really nice. I like the details that they've put on her. I even like the magical sword, even though I think they go a little bit overboard putting magical weapons on every single miniature that they do. But this is quite a nice looking miniature. I do like it. I do like the pose. She's quite, should we say, well formed, to put it very PC. So yeah, if you're not into if you're into more realistic armor, this probably wouldn't be that great for you. But no, I like this sculpt. I think this sculpt is really a nice sculpt compared to the other one. I can't see there's that many mold lines on her. She looks pretty clean, so we'll see. We can only really see what it looks like once I got some paint on her, so hopefully she'll look good when we get some paint on her. So here's some size comparisons. So this is from the same range. This was an elf. I think it was an animist, or yeah, I think it was an animist. And as you can see, they're pretty good scale. She's quite tall next to her. Then we got this orc from the same range, and yeah, he's suitably beefy and huge considering these are D&D orcs. And then we got this zombicide zombie from the Black Plague expansion, and yeah, that looks cool. This is a Frostgrave soldier. He's a bit burlier, but that's alright. He's just a bit of a shorter, dumpy looking dude. I don't think there's a problem really in scale. I think it'll work fine for how I play with them anyway. And then lastly we have this Reaper Bones Pack Mule, he's called, and as you can see he would be quite huge. Now the one thing I have noticed is the Reaper Bones scale does jump around quite a bit, so that's to be expected really, that he would be a little bit bigger than her. Here we have a Skaven from GW, and as you can see, yeah, they're pretty decent scale. I think maybe the Skaven may be a little bit big, but nothing really to worry about here. So on to sort of halfway through painting these miniatures, and I wanted to try and point out the no features on the face to you and on the body. With a bit of paint on it might be a bit easier for you to see. So look, I've highlighted this miniature and I've put wash on it at this stage, so like I said, about 50-60% through, and the wash has just sort of sunk down and just flopped right off her. So it's pooled in the eyes, as you might be able to see from here, but on the lower face it's just washed completely off because there is no features for it to grab onto. It was the same with the body, so I've highlighted any raised areas of her body, and this is what's thing, there isn't that great a difference between the raised areas and the low areas, so it's hard to pick out what's highlighted and what isn't, even though this has had the base colour and a wash already put on it, and reapplied the base colour to try and give some sort of highlight. But you can't really tell that because there isn't that much difference between low and high areas. But there you can see that, yeah, there's no features on the lower half of the face, and I just find that it's just been one big fight, this miniature, since opening it to paint, to finishing painting it. It just feels like the whole thing has been a fight. This one on the opposite side has been quite a pleasure to paint. Again, the features aren't great, so it's been a little bit of a problem. I'm going with this blue tone to keep them in fitting, and I'm thinking of them as maybe frost mages for Frostgrave. So yeah, I'm going with more of a blue tone to this. The cape, I've already started to try and do a few highlights on it, so they're not really showing up that great, but I do try and keep my highlights quite muted. I don't go too far with them, just my personal preference with how I paint my miniatures. Like I said, I am an amateur painter, but I do enjoy doing it, and I have been doing it for quite a few years, but you know, you don't have to be good at something in order to like doing it. So this is me when I finished this miniature, and this is the apprentice, and so I painted my stand in grey, which is what I usually do, so they blend in with my other miniatures, and I rim it with black. So like I was saying, again, there's not a great deal of features to be able to pick up, so in the end I ended up giving her a lower face mask, like a bandana or something, like a coronavirus mask, I don't know, but something just to cover up the fact that she had no lower face. So here's the prime example of what I'm saying. So it's so smooth, this sculpt, that her bottom, where it sticks out, I can't really highlight all that well because there is no there's no contours to her body, or very few contours to her body. So again, on the front I've picked out certain areas that stick out in highlighting them, but they don't really show up as highlighted all that well because the ink hasn't had, or the wash hasn't had enough space to sink down. This one, on the other hand, she doesn't have that problem really as much. The face, once you put a wash on it and such, still has got that little bit of this, not much detail in the lower part of the face. Maybe you could paint lipstick on them or something, but that's not really in fitting with a fantasy world. But, you know, hey. I went with the Frosty Blade, which I think worked out really well. There you go. Really well. And the like bronze gold armor, which I like. I think it worked really well with it. Like I said, again, I'm not an expert painter, but this is, I think, done to a good tabletop standard. You know, as in, I'll put it on the tabletop and I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like there, on the back of her cloak, I've got 4 different colours of blue. But you can't really see it, and that's because there's not that many ridges. So although I highlight where I think the lines look like they should go, and you can kind of see what I mean, it just isn't that much for it to grip onto. So all in all, yeah, I quite like painting this one. The other one was a nightmare from start to finish, and that's a shame because I'm not a rich person, so I don't buy millions of miniatures and paint them. So I do like to buy miniatures that I like and enjoy painting. So this was a bit of a shame. Probably in the future I would stay away from the nolzur miniature range personally, unless it's to buy monsters or orcs or something with bulky features that, you know, will stand out nicely. But humans and such I'd probably stay away from. So here are some glamour shots of the miniatures, and I think you can pick up what I've been saying all along. They come out okay, and you know, I will use them, but they're not as nice as I would have liked to have been able to paint them. So if you've liked this video, please leave a like and a comment, and if you really like it, please leave a subscribe. So until next time, thanks for watching. Welsh Miniature Board Gamer.